Today, we want to come to you all and talk about the importance of prioritizing your health as we age.
So, number one, it's important to recognize that it doesn't matter when you start, but the sooner the better. I look at it like an investment. When we look at investments, the financial advisor will tell you the sooner you start, the better, because over time it pays dividends. Well, your health is the same way. You have to start making those small deposits as you age, and then as we age, it's going to pay off in the long run. So it's never too late to start.
The second thing we want to talk about is it's better together.
I mean, when we find that, when you have a partner, it makes the journey better when you do it together. There's an old saying that says, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, you got to go together.
The last thing that we're going to talk about is get knowledgeable about your body and work to become the best version of you. The best version of you, not of somebody else.
Yeah, often, people will compare themselves to the magazines or the videos that they see on TV. And, often that's not the ideal. Everyone has a different
Genetic
genetic
makeup.
potential. Their genetic potential may be totally different from yours. So as she said, just being the best version of yourself is the most important thing. And that way you can stay motivated and not comparing yourself to someone else.
All right, so we're gonna delve a little bit into how it doesn't matter when you start. When I talk with a lot of ladies, they're not as consistent as they would like to be. And so what I'm learning as I stay on this health journey, that consistency is key.
Whether you started in your teens or your 20s or you're in your 50s or 60s, just do something on a daily basis. And again, the purposeful movement, it doesn't have to be in a Gold's Gym. You can even, do squats sitting and standing in your chair, whatever. But some type of movement on a daily basis.
Well, I was thinking getting your heart rate up is another important thing. So just because we're moving, that's great. But in order to maximize, our health, we want to get the heart rate up.
As we age, and this is exceptionally, important for women because as we age, our muscles naturally atrophy, and we're going to lose our muscle and bone density. And women typically have the brittle bones as they age. Not so much as it's not as prevalent in the black population as it is in our Caucasian, but still, nonetheless, as you age, male or female, you want to do some type of resistance and weight bearing exercises. That way, you can keep your muscles strong and the strength of your bones. We've seen scenarios or heard of situations where someone has fallen and broken their hip, and that's because of their bones becoming weaker and brittle as they age because for one, they didn't have the proper diet and they didn't maintain or do any type of weight bearing exercise in order to strengthen the bones and to keep them strong. The next point we want to talk about is just uh, exercising together. You know, when you're working together as a partner, whether male or female, you encourage one another, and it just, there's an old saying that if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, you go together. And that's the importance of doing it together. You have that accountability partner. You have someone to encourage and to motivate you as well.
Yeah, as ladies, most of the time we're the ones that's always, trying to, think about that bathing suit that we want to be able to get into. And so we may, get fixated and start trying to eat differently, start walking with our girlfriends. And that's good too because it's better together. But when you want to invest in your spouse, so instead of just thinking about getting in that bathing suit, make it a lifestyle change that you want to do and not just think about an occasion that you want to get healthy for. And so in that, you start making better choices together as a couple.
Yes, and again, the home, everyone in the home. If you got children, the sooner you start, the better with the children because too often as we age, it's harder to break those old habits that have been ingrained in us from our early age. So Once you start making that lifestyle change, you have to bring the children on board, expose them to different types of fruits and different types of vegetables, and not just the fast food restaurants, because again, as they age, it gets harder to break those habits.
You think about a car, and if you drive a Mercedes, any luxury type car, most of the time it calls for premium gas. You stick closely to putting that premium gas in it. But our bodies calls for premium foods. And so we a lot of times we put, the 87 or the lowest of the low. We want to be able to put premium foods because the more we invest in our bodies, definitely pay off.
Yes, yes. The last point that we want to talk about is becoming more knowledgeable about your health or your body, period. She used the analogy of an automobile. You know, most people may know more about their automobile than they know about their own body. You know, like you mentioned, the gasoline, what octane gasoline you need. Well, how many calories do you need per day?
Yes.
Knowing those type of things based
Oh,
on your body size. How many calories do you need to consume based on your level of activity? A lot of
yes.
times, what happens is people, they live a sedentary lifestyle. You sit down at work, then you come home and sit down. You sit down in the car, then that's a low activity level. You don't need 2,500 or 3,000 calories if you have a sedentary lifestyle. So
Yes.
based on your level of activity, you need an amount of calories to to accommodate your level of activity. And likewise, if you're out running 3 miles or 5 miles several days a week, then you're probably going to need more calories in order to maintain. So just knowing your body and being familiar with your body and what your body needs in order to maintain its optimal health.
I can remember when I started learning about macros. Macros are the carbs that your body needs, they're the protein that your body needs, and then
Facts.
the fats that your body needs. And so once I started to learn about recompositioning, your body, uh, the first thing I started was trying to lose weight. So I was all into calorie counting. I was counting the back of, looking at all of the foods that I was picking up, and I started to make sure, okay, if I eat this amount of, if I do a cup of this, then it's this amount of calories. If I do 1 tablespoon of this, then I add those calories. But then it got a little bit deeper for me because I'm like, okay, I've lost the weight, but it's not really where I want it to be. So you lose the weight and then you find yourself being flabby. Or you lose the weight and you say, oh, but I still have more in this midsection that I want to get off. Well, then you need to get a little bit more specific and get into those macros.
Again, dialing into what your body needs. Again, going back to that automobile analogy, different cars, different makes require different type of gasoline or different premium gasoline, and whatever the manufacturer specifications are. So you need to know what your specifications are for your body. So based on the number of calories that you need, you don't want to waste your calories on frivolous things. Say a 3 ounce bag of potato chips, you might have 15 grams of fat in that,
Yes.
and 200 calories in one bag of chips, or 3 ounce chips. Now let's look at another scenario. If you take two whole potatoes that you dice or boil, you can prepare them into cream potatoes or what have you. With those cream potatoes, those two potatoes is going to weigh a lot more. It's going to have a lot fewer calories, and it's going to be more satisfying and more filling than that 3 ounce bag of potato chips. So you want to budget your calories wisely. I used to tell my clients to eat according to weight. So the heavier the food, the better, because if it's heavy, then it has water in it. A potato is heavier than a bag of potato chips. A squash is heavier than, it has a lot of water. So if you eat according to the weight, it's going to be more filling. It has more fiber in it. Have less calories than some of the ultra processed foods that many people consume.
Even if you might be eating healthy, but you still gotta have that soda.
Don't drink your calories.
Well, becoming the best version of you, I cannot speak enough to this. As far as ladies, I know as we get older, we think about when we were in our 20s, how we were
Not
in
just the
shape.
ladies, we do
Men
it as
too,
well.
really? Well, I think about how, I used to just stay away from the table or a few meals or whatever, and I would just start losing the weight, or, I could do a fad diet and it would just come off, a lot easier.
Hmm.
But as you get older, it doesn't come off so easy. For one, our metabolism is slowing down.
Hmm.
We go through menopause and things like that. So it doesn't, those little quick tricks don't work. You really have to dial into, eating healthy and being intentional about what you're putting into your body.
Yeah, because even, in my 50s now, this is the first time in my entire life that my pant size has been larger than a size 30. And I know, to some people that's like, well, they'd be happy to get that. But still, whether, you're 30, 32 or 40, 42, for me, it was a shocking because, I've never been over a 30, and, and it's not going away.
Right.
No matter, with my training, what have you. So, again, our body's changing, our metabolism changes, as she said, and it takes more effort. But the good thing is, if you've been doing it for, many years, what have you, your body has muscle memory, and it's easier to get back into those to that condition than if
Hmm.
someone who had never been in that condition.
Yeah, and I just want to encourage anybody that's out there that's trying to get healthy. If you're not seeing the results that you would hope that you have seen, stay with it. Stay consistent. It's not going to happen overnight. We did not get fat overnight. We didn't gain those extra little pounds overnight. Be kind to yourself and stay committed. Stay with it. You want to be able to be realistic about your goals. Don't set yourself up for failure when you're saying that you're only going to eat or consume 900 calories. You're not going to make
That's
it.
not realistic.
Right. Be realistic about your goals and just stick with it, and knowing those things that you need to eat, and just knowing, getting knowledgeable about what you need to eat.
And
Um,
just making it a priority.
yes.
Again, your health is your wealth, and you have to make it a priority, and it has to be ingrained into your daily life. Don't just make it a side thought.
And don't get so fixated on looking at people on social media, your friends, and seeing how good their body look, and feel like, oh, I'll never get there, and it discourages you and make you feel like, oh, they doing too much and I can't do that. Actually, that has kept me from being the best version of myself, because I would see, bodybuilders, even if I didn't want to be that big or muscular as the bodybuilder, it's still, I would aspire to be like them, but at the same time, I'm not disciplined like them. It takes discipline. And so once I realized that, stop trying to be like this person or go as hard as that person. For number one, you're older than that person. And then number two, he would have to bring me back down to reality and say, they probably were athletic, and maybe their legs were already a certain size, and so when they started on their journey, maybe it just took them losing that fat, and their legs were already, had that muscular potential to be built like that. And then, I'm killing myself trying to get these muscles, and when it's not happening, it just make me just be discouraged and say, forget it. So you got to stick with it and think about your body. Be happy with the gains that you see for yourself and stick with it.
Hopefully, you gained something from this without sharing, and we look forward to speaking to you again in the near future.
Yes. Join us. If you have not subscribed to our channel, we're going to ask that you subscribe, that you comment, give us
Like,
some feedback.
share, and subscribe.
Thanks for joining us today.